I go to bed thinking about cotton. I dream about it when I'm asleep, and I do it all day long, every day when I get up. That's just a hard thing to describe. On these farms right here, this is our family land. And 2011 was the first time in 5 generations of our family that we didn't take a bale of cotton to town. That's how devastating our drought has been to us. As this drought lingers on, a lot of these bolls will capsize and fall off. I mean, trade policy has everything to do with success and failure. And you just threw up your hands and said, no farm bill, we can't get her done. Yeah, I wouldn't be here.
Passing a farm bill that, in all fairness, most of the way through no one thought would ever pass is nothing short of a miracle. A miracle may imply divine intervention, but just short of that, this is a miracle. Just short of that.
I'm so overjoyed to rise today to be at this point in the Farm Bill process. We have had the most amazing open markups in committee with amendments almost beyond galore.
Yes, there were challenges. I mean, every day there was a challenge.
There were a lot of predictions in this town. We couldn't pass a farm bill.
Frank and I never had any really philosophical differences about what to do. The problems we had were with other people, within the House and within the Senate.
Quite literally, I had to work through and around my own leadership. I had to work through and around the leadership of the minority. I had to work through and around the United States Senate, the most amazing outside groups that came after us like the hounds from hell. It took 2.5 years to do, in my opinion, what should have been 6 months.
Printed in House Report number 113-117.
Now, the way the rule was structured, we were treated in essence like an appropriation bill. Virtually unlimited amendments from the floor. We had 100 and something filed.
And then we had the unfortunate situation where some amendments were added.
This would allow states to create work requirements for those getting food stamps.
This will be a 2-minute vote.
We were getting ready for the final process, and Colin comes across the floor from the other side of the aisle and he says, Frank, the last amendment was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't have the votes that I had as of this morning or last night. You're going to have to carry this on your side. I knew that if I couldn't persuade my colleagues to pass the bill and it failed, I'd be in a terrible bind. But I also knew by the same token that the attitude of a number of my colleagues on both the Republican and the Democratic side was that if I lost my nerve and asked for the bill to be pulled, then we might never vote on a bill, and it would be on my back.
The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized for 5 minutes.
I would like to take this time to discuss for just a moment the process that we've gone through here.
Chairman showed me as a freshman true leadership.
If you care about your folks, if you care about this institution, if you care about utilizing open order, vote with me on final. And if you don't, when you leave here, they'll just say it's a dysfunctional body, a broken institution full of dysfunctional people. That's not true. You know that's not true. Cast your vote in a responsible fashion. That's all I can ask. Thank you, my friends. I yield back, Mr. Speaker.
The yeas are 195, the nays are 234. The bill is not passed.
Politics outweighed the good in that, but he never lost his composure.
Losing a bill that means so much to you I have a degree in agricultural economics. I'm a farmer was traumatic. But I made the right decision because at that point leadership on both sides of the room understood we had to have a farm bill.
We have a lot of good members on the committee, and when the time comes, they step up. And that's what happened with Frank. He stepped up.
And when you really have a desire to get something done, I think 9 times out of 10 you get it done, and he really wanted it done.
Some have said, well then Frank, what hope do you have? I'm a wheat farmer by training. I have hope every day of my life. I was raised by people, as I said, who survived the Great Depression and the drought of the 1930s. My maternal grandfather, Fred Adderholt, co-signed my first lease for an old farm when I was 17, too young to sign for myself, co-signed my note at the bank for that first lease, and that's how I launched into farming. Not only did that generation help set me up in farming, but they instilled in me their experiences. What can happen when everything goes wrong? You can work for a year, you can do everything right, and in one single storm, it's gone.
It's hard to really argue when he's talking firsthand experience, and everybody knew that about the chairman.
We have to do it. We'll get it done. We'll get it done in spite of the challenges we face. So we took it, split it in halves, ran the halves, nutrition, non-nutrition, passed them in separate pieces, put it back together in conference, and ultimately passed the final bill and surprised everybody.
On this vote, the yeas are 68, the nays are 32, and the conference report is agreed to.
And so Congress passed a bipartisan farm bill that is going to make a big difference in communities all across this country.
Because of the leadership of the chairman and ranking member, the thing got done. I don't think it could have if there had been any other chairman other than Chairman Lucas. I don't think this would have ever gotten done.
His perseverance to accomplish his goal of passing the farm bill was the real key. He was not going to be denied.
If the farm bill had failed, certain provisions would have carried on a little bit longer, but the basic programs would have begun to wind down. It would have hurt every consumer both in this country and around the world.
It's not crying wolf thing. I don't think people realize the brink that the ag industry in America is at right now if you suddenly diminish credit lines at the banks.
You just assume everybody understands your way of life. But when they don't, you've got to take time to break down the basics.
Come on, boys. I spend a huge amount of my time before the Farm Bill, during the Farm Bill, and I will for the rest of my career in Congress, educating my colleagues. This is how your dinner made it to your plate. That's how that shirt made it to your back. Work with us to help meet your needs and the other consumer needs around the world. In this Farm Bill, I believe we laid the groundwork for not only my successor as chairman, but chairman yet to come.